Hello and welcome to Teeing Off, the Hersey Golf Podcast. Today, we're joined with Henry Quinn. Henry was a player on Hersey for 4 years. Now, it's his first year over at Butler, and he's playing D1 golf. He's been exceptional at Hersey, and was super excited to bring him on and ask him a few questions about Hersey and his transition into college golf. Thank you and enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third edition of the Teeing Off Golf Podcast. Today, I'm joined with a very special guest, Henry Quinn, former Hersey Husky, now part of the Butler golf team.
How's it going, Jake?
Yeah, good to see you, Henry. Glad
Yeah,
to have you on the podcast.
I know you guys have had Cap on before, and so this will be a fun little time.
Yeah, for sure. So how's Butler been for you real quick?
Great. Honestly, I mean, I love it. I have a really good group of friends. I love my teammates, coaches, campus. Just it was the right fit for me. So I'm really happy here. And honestly, we start spring break today and I don't want to go home and all that stuff. So
Yeah, really, it's got you that good over there.
yeah, it does. It's a lot of fun.
Great. I'm glad to hear it. So want to just get straight into the questions?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, sure. So we're going to try to go in like a chronological order, I guess, through Hersey.
Yeah.
So what sort of sparked your golf interest and why did you start picking up the sport and when?
I think I started probably playing when I was like 8 or 9 years old, but I really didn't start getting serious about it until I was like 13, 14 years old. And, I played all sorts of sports growing up, baseball, basketball, and, junior high, I ran track, cross country, and I was really good at that. But I think the reason why I got hooked on golf is just because like you can do so much on your own, like I never wanted to wait to go to basketball practice or baseball practice, and it was such like kind of an individual thing. And there was always something to do. There's always something you can improve on. And so I really just love the kind of like the practice part of it more than anything else.
Yeah, that's sort of the same thing for me. For those of you who don't know, I'm also big golfer. But yeah, that's something I really like about golf, especially with like other sports, it's a lot more team related, but this one is a lot more like dependent on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It was, again, like I said, that's what kind of hooked me is that I was able to do things on my own. And it was just more like the process of kind of getting better is what hooked me. So that's what I kind of tell people a lot is that there was always something to improve upon. There was always something to work on. There was always something I could be doing, where in basketball and all those other sports, you kind of have to do things with the team and it's harder to improve, but in golf, you can just improve so much. And there's always something you can be practicing. So.
Yeah, very similar for me too. All right. So once you got to high school golf and things started to get competitive with it, how did that go? Like the first season of competitive golf for you freshman year?
Yeah, I mean, freshman, sophomore year was really good. Most of my freshman year, I played JV. I think I played a couple of matches on varsity. It wasn't, so if anybody that thinks I was, starter freshman year or anything like that, I wasn't. But it was just a lot of fun being kind of part of a team with golf. I got to know Cap really well. And for anybody that doesn't know in the podcast, Cap is the coach of Hersey Golf, legendary, the best you'll ever have. But so I kind of got to know him and got to know some of the guys in the team, and it was good. I just kind of got a taste for what it was like to compete at a high level. And so it went well. I didn't play great or anything, but it kind of got me hooked on and kind of got me thinking about what I could do with golf in the future.
Yeah, I like that. So then there's obviously a big improvement over that sophomore to junior year.
Yeah.
What sort of things were you working on from that summer, that off season? Like what got you?
Yeah, honestly, when I was thinking about this earlier, is that there were kind of like three kind of bigger things. One is that over the winter, I got a job at the Golf Dome up in Buffalo Grove. So I got to hit practice for free all winter long. So I spent a lot of time up there, practiced a lot more in that off season. And then I got to meet my my swing coach, Mason. So I got to know him. And so I kind of made these new connections, and I just practiced really hard over the winter, improved my game. And then honestly, I think the biggest thing before junior year, like the summer leading up to it, was almost every single day, me and Cap were playing golf at Old Orchard or somewhere else. And we were doing kind of matches. We had a year-long, summer-long match total. Like it was running total. I think we played over like 200 holes over the summer. And it was like 1 or 2 up, I think was like how we were always. I think in this summer, he was like 1 or 2 up. And then he, of course, didn't play me the rest of the fall because I was playing really well and didn't want to play me. But, kind of those things. I just practiced a lot harder. I was kind of more focused on being able to score well. I knew I didn't have to hit the ball like fantastic as long as I was scoring. And, my short game was good. I knew I was going to be able to compete.
Yeah. I mean, those of you who don't know, Cap's also a really good golfer himself. He's around scratch. I mean, he kind of surprises you when you play with him.
He is. I mean, he's been around the game for a while. He's a really good player. And so it was nice to kind of have that competition. That's why I think I play really well, is because I constantly had that competition with him. When I got to the season, it was like, oh, this is nothing new. I've been doing this the whole summer, So I was kind of prepared for it. And I kind of seen, there were times where me and Cap, I would shoot 33, 34 and would lose a match to him. So I kind of got to know what it took to play well and what it took to win.
Yeah, so that was great leading up to that. What about your junior year? At Hersey, obviously went well. Do you want to just talk about that year?
Yeah, that was a fun year for sure. I mean, looking back on it, I didn't necessarily like hit the ball as well as I do now or anything like that. I remember I putted the ball really well the entire season. And I think, again, I was just kind of locked in competition the entire year. I just didn't want to lose ever. And we had a really good year as a team too. And I was lucky enough to perform when it mattered most. I won the regional tournament at Old Orchard and then qualified for the state tournament. So that was nice. But yeah, I mean, that was just a lot of fun. We had a really good team that year, a lot of good guys. It was nice. That was obviously before COVID. So there wasn't any restrictions or anything on us. So I remember we just had a really good time. We played really well the entire year. I remember, there was always, I think we win like 10-1 in the conference. We beat Barrington again. So I think we just had a really good time that whole year. We were just constantly pushing each other to get better as a team. So
I think you're kind of selling your own accomplishments a little short here. Didn't you almost get the maximum amount of like MSL points that year?
Yeah, that is true. For those who don't know how it works, for the MSL golf, like conference standings and like all conference standings, how it works is that you play obviously the other 11 teams in the conference, and say we're playing Prospect and Jake is the low person for both teams, the medalist. He gets 8 points. So the maximum amount of points you can get is 88. I got 87 that year. So that was, I think the one point I didn't get is that I tied with a kid from Prospect one time and I like 3-putted the last hole or something. So, it was a lot of fun, and, it was kind of a cool year just because for whatever reason, I just always play well in those 9-hole matches. I think my scoring average, so it's 9-holers, was like 34 or something like that, 35. I had a 31 in there at one point. It was a really fun year. I was just playing well the whole time and I was putting really well. I remember that. And, it was just a really fun time as a team. So.
Do you miss those 9-hole matches at all?
I do a little bit, just because in college golf, it's like, so we have a tournament next week in Florida, and it's Monday, Tuesday. Monday's 36 holes straight through, 18, second day's 18 holes. And it's just like, the 9-holers are so much fun because honestly, you didn't have to think about it that much. Like, you go throughout your school day and, you'd be distracted by school and everything. And then all of a sudden you show up and you're playing golf for 9 holes. You're playing a match.
Yeah, you might hit 5 range balls and then you're on the tee.
No. Me and Cap's running joke is that I think there was a time where I played better when I didn't hit practice putts. I think like one time we got to the course like at Poplar Creek or something, and I didn't have any time because I was the first one off. I'm always first one off as number one, and I didn't get to hit. I hit like 5 range balls, had no practice putts, and I shot like 35. It was just something fun like that. But in college golf, you have practice rounds, practice days, and everything builds up to it. So it's kind of not fun in that sense, but you do get a lot more build up in practice time. So
Yeah, definitely. So after that junior year, I mean, how did state go for you?
State went well. I think the first day, I think I shot 75 maybe. It was in contention to be all state. Unfortunately, the second day I didn't play well, but it got really windy the second day. I know Chad will probably attest to that. It can get really windy down there, and I just unfortunately didn't play great. But it kind of opened my eyes a little bit that I had played so well all year long. There was still another level of golf to reach. There's still another level of competition. The courses just get harder and harder, and I knew I had to improve if I was going to be able to compete and contend at that level. I knew I could play well and take advantage of the 9-hole matches at Old Orchard and Buffalo Grove. When it came down to competing at a place like the Den, I just wasn't ready at that point. So I kind of came out of that more motivated than anything else.
Yeah. So with that motivation, did that like help you with your summer season, like junior to senior year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because I just knew there were certain things I needed to improve upon. Not necessarily even like contending to win state or anything like that, but when I was even looking forward to college golf too, I knew that I need to get better if I was going to compete at a higher level like that. I think Cap was honestly one of the first people to talk to me about it. He's like, "You're playing great now." He's like, "But you need to improve on X, Y, and Z if you're going to be able to compete at an even higher level." So yeah, it definitely translated into it. Into my summer going into my senior year. It was difficult with COVID because there weren't a lot of tournaments and they were kind of hard to play in. But I played really well toward the end of my senior summer, or the end of the summer going into my senior year.
Yeah. Was that with the Illinois State Junior Am?
Yeah,
That top 5, was it?
Uh, I think 6th or 7th.
Top 6. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I had played decent most of the summer, but not quite as well as I would have liked. I think I was putting a lot of pressure on myself with recruiting for college. And then at the end of the summer, I just kind of said, whatever. And I'm going to let loose. I'm going to play golf, have fun with it. Whatever happens, happens. I kind of almost accepted like maybe I'm not cut out for college golf and stuff like that. And then I just played really well the last 2 weeks. I finished, 7th at the state junior am. And the week before that at the IJJ Player of the Year tournament, I finished 2nd, shot 4 under par there. So that was really fun to play that well toward the end of the summer and to kind of know that I was peaking with my game going into the high school season.
Yeah. So, I mean, for those of you who don't know, the Illinois State Junior Am's at McRae. Yeah. And Henry can attest. That's a pretty difficult course.
Yeah, that can be a tough one, especially that opening 4 or 5 hole stretch. But I think the thing that kind of helped me the most with it is that it's going to be tough for everybody at that course. No one's going to play great. I mean, like I played the state junior am this past summer too, and I didn't play quite as well, but I made the cut and I think finished like top 30 or something. But it's a really tough golf course. You have to be really patient. And I remember having the week where I finished 7th. I remember I had really good short game and short putting. I remember I didn't really miss any short putts inside of 4 or 5 feet. And at that course, you're going to have a lot of those. You're going to have a lot of testers for par, and even sometimes for bogey, so you have to take advantage of those short putts. And I remember I did that week. And, that was when it all kind of came together. And so that was definitely kind of a fun time. But yeah, I'm not a fan of McRae, even though I've had some success out there.
Yeah. And some of that was you gave us a lesson, I remember, our match at McRae this year. You came back. That was definitely helpful. We did not perform well, but it was good to get a glimpse.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
a tough place, and I just wanted to tell you guys as much as I knew about it. I had a lot of experience out there. But yeah, that place can eat you up and spit you out for sure. I've seen it 100 times. I've seen one of the best players in the state in my grade who plays golf at Clemson now. I saw him hit 3 balls OB on a hole one time in the group in front of me. It's just stuff like that. That course, it can really be tough. So,
yeah. So then after that, you had the senior high school season. I was on that varsity team that year. Definitely a great year. You want to just talk about that year?
Yeah, that was a fun year. I mean, I think there was a lot of uncertainty, obviously, with COVID and everything. We didn't know how things were going to work with matches and tournaments and everything. We honestly didn't even know if we were going to have a season until I think maybe midsummer. There's a lot of speculation. But we had one of probably, I think Cap would agree, probably one of the best teams, if not the best team in Hersey history that year. We had a really strong start of the lineup with, me and Tyler playing 1 and 2. Max was really solid player at 3, had a lot of talent. Then we had Chad, the up and coming freshman for most of the years, playing great at the 4 spot. And then we had you in there at 5, who was, steady as you could be. And then we had, we kind of had a rotating 6 guy, but it was still, we were just such a solid team start to, from top to bottom. We had a lot of depth, and, we always knew that we were going to play well. Unfortunately, we didn't get past certain teams like Prospect, but, we beat Barrington. We won regionals again.
Yeah.
That was just kind of a special team. And we didn't really play our best golf ever until I think the regional tournament, but we were still just a really solid lineup. And that was a fun year for sure to kind of be a team captain and team leader on, just because I could see the improvement that everybody made over my time there. And I could see kind of like, Cap's hard work paying off in a team that good. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you hinted at that Prospect match. Do you want to talk about your rivalry with Prospect? I know
that was unfortunate. I had played varsity matches against Prospect for 4 years, and I never won one. I think in the 4 years we lost by a combined like 5 or 6 shots in those 4 matches. They always somehow snuck past us. But like the last 2 years, I knew we were a better team. Unfortunately, they just got us at, the right time or the wrong time or whatever. Like I think last year it was raining the whole time.
Yep.
And so it was tough. But we got them when it mattered most. We beat them in conference last 2 years. We beat them in, regionals and sectionals and all that stuff. So we kind of knew that we had them. We were a better team, but it definitely stung that I wasn't able to get them in those head-to-head matches.
Yeah, and I remember, at least for me, there's a lot of like good relationships with a lot of the guys in the MSL, especially on Prospect. That banter is always fun.
Yeah.
I know you were a big partaker in that.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily as close with some of them as you guys are. Luke Kruger, great kid. But, we weren't, trust me, we wanted to kick their butts for sure. It was pretty intense. Mainly when I was a freshman and sophomore, it was pretty intense because they didn't like us and we didn't like them. But it got a little bit better junior, senior year. But those first 2 years, it was always, we would never be talking on the golf course and play them. And, you could tell how much Cap wanted to beat them and how much we wanted to beat them. And it was always a pretty fun rivalry.
Yeah, I think maybe our year is a little bit more chirpy. We got some drama brewing right now between us and Prospect.
Yeah, for sure. We were, there were some guys in the Prospect team when I was freshman, sophomore that were not the nicest guys, put it a certain way, but it was always an intense rivalry, but it's always in good spirit. That's the one thing is that it never got out of hand and no one ever said anything or did anything that crossed the line. It was always just an intense kind of rivalry that you always wanted to beat the other team
Mhm.
just for the sake of beating them.
And Cab mentioned to me the other day that like the MSL in our area of golf is like one of the most competitive in Illinois, if not like the
Yeah.
Midwest in general. Like, can you attest to that? Like now
Yeah.
you're playing with a lot of more guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's just as intense. I mean, MSL is really good. Chicagoland area in general is just phenomenal in terms of junior golf and high school golf. Um, it's just really competitive. That's basically all it is. I mean, it's just so competitive, and everybody's, most people, if not everybody, is a really good player, and it's just tough to win. It's tough to win anything, and, because there's always a good team, there's always a good player. Nothing's ever given in the MSL. Cap would always used to say, yeah, nothing. It's not a guarantee we beat Fremd. It's not a guarantee we beat, Buffalo Grove or whatever. He was always, because he had seen it. He's been around for 30 something years. He had seen that you can get beat by anybody in that conference. That's kind of the beauty of it, is that anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah. So then after that, like after that high school season, you want to quickly mention like some of the ways you found Butler or how Butler found you and
Yeah.
why was that the choice?
Yeah. I mean, recruiting in general, I'll be perfectly honest, for those who are listening or are college athletes or who might want to be college athletes, recruiting is stressful, especially with golf, just because, in basketball and certain other things, other sports, like it's just stats and kind of, that's basically it. But in golf, there's one course might be significantly harder than another course. One tournament might be significantly stronger of a field than another. And I really got a good start with it because I had a really strong junior year of high school golf. So that really helped me. But then obviously kind of COVID hit. And so that was tough. I was talking to a lot of different schools. And unfortunately, with the NCAA extending athletes like a fifth year, um, a lot of schools kept guys for fifth years. I remember several times there'd be coaches that before COVID, they were telling me, oh yeah, I'm going to bring in, 3-4 people from your class. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're bringing in 1 or 2 because we're keeping 2 guys that are going to be seniors or whatever the circumstance was. And so all of a sudden the amount of spots on rosters kind of shrunk. And so that became difficult. You couldn't take visits really anywhere. Coaches couldn't come to watch you play. So with Butler, I remember reaching out to the coach, the former coach now here at Butler, that recruited me. And I remember talking to him a little bit over the phone a couple times. And then he offered me to come down for an official visit. This is before COVID. I took an official visit, loved it. And that was the only school I really ever visited, just because I wasn't able to visit a lot of other schools. And from that moment on, I kind of knew I wanted to come to Butler. And toward the end of the summer, heading in my senior year, I was offered a scholarship, and this was my top school. So I really wanted to come here, and it was the right choice for sure.
That's great. Do you want to talk about your collegiate experiences at Butler, the golf season so far? I mean, I'm kind of new to this too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. I'll be perfectly honest. I love it. It's incredibly fun, but it's also an incredible amount of work at D1 golf. I mean, like Tuesdays, Thursdays, we have 6 a.m. workouts. So that's up at 5:30. We have practice 4 days a week during the weekday, Monday through Friday. And then usually on the weekends, if the weather's nice, we'll have qualifying. So that's usually kind of time consuming. And then on top of that, you have a lot of schoolwork and, other responsibilities. So it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. It's really rewarding. I mean, the facilities here are great. So I've been able to improve my game a lot. I can actually hit drivers on the range now.
Oh,
Like
nice.
when I get older. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's just a lot of work though too. I mean, like, I'll run you through my day today a little bit. Um I had class. I only had one class today at 9 a.m. Got to the golf course around 10:30, practiced for a couple hours. went out, got some lunch with a couple friends, came back to the golf course. The first time I was there, I was working on technical work with my coach, then came back, played 9 holes, hit more balls in the range, came back, started some laundry, did some packing for tomorrow. And then tomorrow, actually, we leave at 3:45 in the morning for Florida. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. And then a day like yesterday, I'm, going through classes all day and I have workouts at 6 in the morning. So it's a lot of time. It's really time consuming. You have to learn to manage your time. But I mean, it's so much fun. You get all sorts of cool gear. I mean, you'll see it when I come back this summer, a lot of shirts, a lot of clothes, a lot of Butler stuff. And then I think the biggest thing is that if you're an athlete in college, you'll understand that you have more responsibilities than like your friends who aren't athletes. Most of my friends aren't athletes here, and they're telling me, oh, let's go hang out, let's go do this. And, I'm telling them, hey, I got, practice tomorrow morning. I got workouts tomorrow morning. I got to do homework. So you have to kind of stay on top of that stuff. And then also you kind of have to learn that sometimes you can't practice as much as you want because you got homework to do, you got schoolwork to do. And so you have to find the right balance. But, I think I adjusted pretty well. And I'm sure if you or Chad or anybody else plays college golf, I'm sure you guys will be able to adjust pretty well too.
Mm-hmm. How have you been competing? I know you've gotten the start a little bit as a freshman. That's really great.
Yeah. I played in 3 events in the fall. I had the low scoring average on the team. I finished top 10 the last 2 events the fall. The tournament we leave for tomorrow is gonna be our 3rd event of the spring. Haven't played too great so far this spring, but I'm playing really well right now in practice and qualifying, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, we played pretty well as a team. We're a really young team. Like me and my roommate are like the top 2 in the team pretty much. So it's been, we're kind of a young team, but we're really good. And so I'm looking forward to the rest of the spring season.
Yeah. Did you like your new coach? I know he's not the guy who recruited you, right?
Yeah,
So,
he's not. Yeah, the guy that recruited me retired at the end of last year. My coach, he's good. He knows a lot, very accomplished. He's worked with a lot of high-level players, teachers, you know, but I'm not gonna lie, he's not necessarily Cap in a sense. I mean, honestly, there's no replacing Cap for me.
not at all.
Just because how close we were and how much, Cap's helped my game. But I am lucky that I have a college coach that can help me as much as mine does. He knows a lot. It's the same thing in kind of high school. They're basically almost every other coach in the MSL doesn't do a whole lot in terms of coaching besides kind of scheduling matches and picking lineups. And it's kind of the same thing in college too, but I'm lucky enough I have a coach that really knows his stuff. So it was kind of an easier transition to going from someone like Cap to going to someone that is pretty much just as good as Cap, but also there isn't anybody as good as Cap.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we have guys from other teams come into our winter camp, like top guys in the MSL. Pablo Castro, he's over here right now. Like, it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I was actually talking to Cap the other day about it. A lot of the stuff that we do practice wise, and again, my coach here in college has worked with major champions before. We worked with Hank Haney and Butch Harmon for a while. A lot of stuff we do is the same stuff that Cap had us doing, that Cap had me doing. It just kind of reaffirmed my knowledge, that my belief that Cap knows what he was doing. And, I wouldn't have got to where I am now without him. So, I always tell you guys, better listen to him. You better keep listening because he knows what he's doing. Anybody out there on the golf team that's listening to this, listen to Cap. He knows what he's doing. Trust him. But yeah, I mean, it's, you guys definitely are very lucky that you have a coach like him and, someone like Doug also to help out, because a lot of other schools, even in college, don't have something like that. A lot of guys in college are kind of left on their own, do certain practice and everything. And, So you guys are definitely lucky that you have someone like that to help you out.
You got anything else to mention real quick? Anybody want to shout out maybe?
Oh gosh. Oh, Borgoff. Borgie. Can't forget Borgie or Gunther or Gunner. Yeah. I miss those guys. I don't know, nothing really else. Just, you guys keep on improving, keep on practicing. I better see you guys out there at Double O this summer. And I'll see you guys around for sure. So you guys have a good time, and, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Henry. Good luck with the future at Butler and the upcoming spring season. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Teen Off.
This is my roommate, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see
how's
you
it going?
later.
All right. See ya.